Hello and welcome to episode 32 of the Dash Force Free Amigos podcast. I hope everyone had a dash-tastic Christmas, and today we've got a very, very special guest. But before we get to our guest, I'd just like to introduce the other co-hosts of the Free Amigos. Hi, Brian. Did you have a good Christmas?
Excellent, excellent.
Excellent. And Joelle, did you have a fantastic Merry Dashmas?
I mean, I made it through. It was mostly stressing behind my computer the whole time, but then again, that's what happens. Probably could have taken the day off.
Excellent. And our honorary extra amigo today, a familiar face for our audience, Jeff, aka Coin Gun. Hi, Jeff.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me. It's been a while, a couple of weeks anyway.
And our very special guest of honor today needs no introduction. The one and only
anyway,
Rory MacDonald. How's it going, Rory? Thanks for being with us today.
It's going good. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Right. I'm sure everyone's excited to have Rory here. Who would like to ask him the first question? Rory, you got to be happy that the proposal's in the green. So it looks like you're all good to go. So you must be quite happy with that, right?
Super relieved. Yeah, I'm still a bit nervous, obviously, but it seems to be growing. The yes votes seem to be growing. So
I hear an excited Maya back there.
Yeah, that sounds like me all week. Looking at Dash Central, looking at the votes.
I was explaining to Rory how this process works, because a lot of the new people to Dash, they haven't even really it hasn't fully computed how this whole voting process works. A lot of people are like, hey, it's green, so I'm good, money's in. And we were just going back and forth and talking about how there is a deadline that has to pass, and then the voting closes, and so it is right till the end. It could be an entirely changing scene. So
yeah, there's 20 hours left, but it looks like it's like 160 something votes. I don't think I've ever seen one fail at this hour with that many yes votes. So it's a good sign.
Yeah,
awesome.
So this has got to be the weirdest business deal you've ever done before. Is that right, Rory? Like, I don't know of anyone who seeks sponsorships through like a weird voting process that has a deadline that's on a blockchain and stuff.
It's for sure like the most original. It's like I've never done anything like this. Going through like a network and a voting system or anything like that. So it's totally new, and like my management, they didn't really have much to do with it. I tackled it mostly with Jeff, but
no, Rory froze up. Oh, there he goes.
It's pretty easy, and the terms are laid out very simple. And honestly, I love it. I think it's a great process.
It's only going to get better
cool.
too. It's just kind of at the start. We're really at the start of it all.
yeah, I was chatting with Rory about that as well, just how this process has been evolving, and we've been trying to really keep it simple, but at the same time do some fairly complicated things, and that's a tough task sometimes. And it's also tough to like lay that out to the community, lay out how you do that, how you go about this somewhat complicated thing, that has a lot of moving parts, but you present it very simply so that you can get the buy-in from the users. And that's something that we've clearly not perfected yet. Everybody I think in the proposal system is learning, and this month has been extremely exciting.
Wow.
Yeah, so Rory, now that we got you here, I honestly don't know, and I'm very curious. How did you even hear about cryptocurrency, or more importantly, start taking that next step to actually trying to get involved?
I first heard about it from my coach for As a Hobby. It was during the week of my fight leading up against Tyrone Woodley in 2014. He was telling me about Bitcoin and things like that. So we were messing around with it all week. We ended up buying some and messing around with how it worked and things like that, wallets, and I just had like
there's a little freezing thing after messing around with wallets there, but
Yeah. So I after that, I just kept, I stayed in the loop, kept learning about it. And then obviously, since, earlier this year, it really took off. So everything's been super exciting lately.
Yeah, it's rare that a lot. Usually, I'm so used to it personally. I mean, I've only been interested in since like 2013, but still, that makes me a lot older in the system than a lot of other people. And so sometimes I still have this mindset of like, no one's heard about this, or they might have heard a Silk Road story somewhere, and that's it. And I still have a hard time adjusting to the fact that probably just about everybody knows something about it, and there's a lot of people starting to become very interested in it who aren't just fringe people. Like, I was in the elevator at my apartment the other day, and some old guy, got to be late 70s or something, saw a Bitcoin shirt I had on, and he was like, "Oh, I know that stock. That stock is doing very well." I'm like, okay, guy. But at least, like, now that you have all the generations generally familiar with what it is, it's kind of a little bit of a shock. I mean, who's been here interested in cryptocurrency the longest? Is it Brian? Is it
Maybe Jeff? I don't know. I knew about it in 2011, 2012, but I thought it was just, I actually thought it was money that was like part of a video game. And you like got the money because you had the Magic the Gathering, the Mount Gox. And yeah, I was like, I was more of a gold and silver guy. Jeff, when did you get in?
Yeah, I was probably late 2012, early 2013 is when I put my first miner online and started like something with a CPU, and then I was like GPU, and then I stopped playing Counter-Strike, and my life went to hell because all I would do is just play mining all day, and it just came so addicting, just like watching computers do things all day long, and then get to this magic internet money was just crazy. So yeah, I was right about the beginning of 2013.
Yeah, Bitcoin was $27 when I got in. Early 2013 when I first bought in. Yeah.
Hard to think back now for that, considering the price range what it is today. That's crazy.
I only remember Bitcoin as low as $90. Maybe that was CAD though. But so maybe you were even a bit sooner than Brian in terms of actually buying. I was just sort of creating. I wasn't actually starting to invest really much into it. So, but
yeah, I'd just like to talk about Rorys, who is the head coach of TriStar, for those watching. Amazing guy, and he is really passionate about cryptocurrency. For those that don't remember, actually on the TriStar YouTube channel, both myself and Jeff went on there, and we did a 20K Dash giveaway. And for us, he gets it. He loves the mobile app. He loves Dash. He's happy to show the wallet, and he was talking about Canada and the rules. So on the YouTube channel, I forget what the name it is now, Jeff, but I thought, is it like Victory Championships or something like that?
So Pure Victory Championships is what he started.
Yeah, so basically in the gym, they can have people playing off against each other. Basically, the winner gets cryptocurrency. It's not full MMA, it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I can't remember. Rorys was saying there was some kind of law in Canada forbidding it or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But the point I wanted to make was it's a very, very exciting time, because he was talking about how blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, are going to help decentralize essentially the MMA world, and all these fighters now are getting interested in cryptocurrency, just like every other avenue of the world. So I think it's amazing and a golden opportunity for Rory, because he's kind of like leading at the head of the pack. And I think a lot of people are going to be looking at Rory as a trendsetter, because he's breaking new ground here. So it's a very exciting time.
Yeah. The first person I saw, I think, was, I'm drawing a blank now. He's out of the UFC. He was into Nautilus Coin. I've mentioned before on the podcast. Jeff, you know who I'm talking about?
I don't recall that guy, no.
I'll think about it.
Guys like John Fitch were involved.
Fitch. That's it,
yeah. So Rory, what do you think, Rory? What do you think your chances are of getting to George and getting him on the Dash train?
I think it's very few.
I'll cut out just to give. Yeah, I think it's very feasible.
Absolutely. I think that's. I think it's. It wouldn't be a hard sell.
Yeah, George needs a masternode.
Very interesting.
TriStar needs. Everybody needs a masternode.
Yeah,
I was
I was telling.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was telling Jeff last night. That's what the goal is at the moment, and he had the brilliant line of, "Would you say something?"
Fight your way to a masternode. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, who else could put the blood, sweat, and tears into onto the line for Dash? I don't know many people that have bled for Dash, that's for sure. But hopefully it doesn't happen. But
yeah, I know Dos Santos has done that before.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah.
TKO, baby. So
TKO, yeah.
for those who are watching at home that may be unfamiliar with the MMA world, in terms of branding and advertising, UFC is slightly different to Bellator, right? You can do more within Bellator because UFC's got some Reebok agreement. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically the sponsorships are wide open in Bellator. I think you just can't have certain things that that clash with Bellator's image and things like that. But as long as you're it's a clean cut company and things like that, it's no issue. With UFC, they have control of all the sponsors, so it's kind of people don't get to go out and put their own sponsors on anymore like they used to. Basically, it's UFC is sponsored and that's it.
So you could get a Dash tattoo. We could get like a massive Dash tattoo on your back.
I was thinking what a funny thing it would be to do temporary tattoos, though. I've never seen, like, you see so many fighters are super tatted up, right? But I thought, like, why doesn't someone do like some henna ink or something where like they put a big logo on their body and maybe it would wear off during the fight or you wouldn't be allowed it. I don't know.
Do you remember back in like the 90s, I think it was, boxing used to have that Golden Palace black thing on all the fighters' backs?
Yeah. Was that just an overlay? Was that an overlay on the screen, or were they actually like putting that on the person's body?
That was on the person's body. I don't think they had the tech back in the 90s for that.
Fair enough. Did we even have the internet back there?
Oh, but this is great. So can you foresee a future, Rory, where all the fighters are paid in cryptocurrency? Because there does seem to be a trend now where people are in across multiple sports, actually, where they're just saying, actually, I don't want dollars. I'd rather have the cryptocurrency.
I think that is very possible. I think in the short term, you could see, like I was telling Jeff, I think it's possible that we could see events being, sponsored by Dash, where you could see Dash right in the middle of the cage. And then
don't get me excited.
And Jeff had brought up possibly if we got to that point, doing like special things like fighter bonuses, knockout of the night Dash bonus.
I like that.
How cool would that be? I don't think Bellator does bonuses, man. I think they UFC does 50K fight of the night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely whatever like the fastest knockout bonus, the Dash instant send bonus. I would, that needs to be a thing at some point in the future. Just like 1.3 seconds.
I was telling Jeff, I'm gonna send Scott Coker a message this weekend, and I'm gonna bring it up to him. I'm gonna try to give him a bit of a background on crypto a little bit, and see where his interest is in it. And you never know, might go from there.
For those at home who don't know, Scott Coker is he actually is the CEO of Bellator, and ironically, Scott is South Korean. Now, do you know anything about South Korea and Dash, Brian, that you could share with us?
They're number one in the volume. They have been for a while.
Number one in the whole thing. So it would be funny if Scott had maybe knew a trader from back home or something. That would be hilarious. Connect the dots.
Yeah, you made a good point, Jeff, in the Discord about cryptocurrency is global. So yeah, and MMA is global. It's not just like football or basketball or something. It's a global sport, and it's one of the fastest growing sports ever, or at least in the years.
I was saying to Fares that I would like to set up cryptofights.com, because all these events at the moment are mostly like pay-per-view, right? So what you could do is you could get to see the fights that you want to see. So if you wanted to see Rory fight a particular individual, you could send Dash or Bitcoin to actually create the bounties for those fights. And then those fights are streamed online, free around the world for everyone to view online. So there's no entry to barrier on pay-per-view. It's available to see around the world. It'll be just like watching a live stream on YouTube. And I think
that actually it reminds me of a concept that Faraz was talking about way back when we first started talking during the May Mac fight. We were talking about how with the Pure Victory Championship, he had the idea of what if I created like a coin that you fight for. So like it's like a belt, but you literally could only transact the coin by fighting. And so a guy like Rory through his career could try and collect like 5 or 6 PVC coins, right? I thought that was pretty cool. You could only get it through fighting. I was like, well, who would mine the coin though for us? We'll get back to that later.
Yeah. Yeah. Would that interest you?
That's cool.
I mean, could you see that? Do you see power? I mean, how do you feel about UFC, Bellator, and these entities? What if there could be a decentralized way to open it up? I know these, to give an equivalent, these underground rap battle videos and stuff being blowing up on YouTube, having events everywhere else, they're just decentralized. And it's actually the community that controls it, not a governing body. So the actual community gets to see the fights that they want, and they contribute and actually put in the money to see the content that they want. So I see that being the future.
It's going to be hard because of the ownership and of all the contracts and the fighters that UFC or Bellator has. Like they already have a stronghold of, their stable of fighters. It's not like they're going to want to they're not going to want to decentralize that hold on their product. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
we were talking though how this is opening up a different type of relationship, because in the past, when you have an advertiser-advertisee kind of relationship, it's very much like the person who's doing the advertising needs to get their absolute, every bang for their buck, because they got to get their bottom line, get their dollars back out. But we have an option here to do a very kind of neat synergistic type situation where we don't have to be as overextending and as overreaching, because our end goal is to just get to the end user of the product, right? We just want more people to use Dash. That's what our advertising, or in my humble opinion, and maybe you guys can speak about what you think, some of the budget should, or some of the piece of the advertising budget, because I'm not saying the whole budget should ever be used for anything, like that. There's needs to be some sort of percentage, but yeah, I think it's interesting to think about these new symbiotic relationships. In the past, when you had a company, you took the company public to gain money so you could do things. You had to trade equity in your company for monetary gain, and that doesn't need to happen as we start interfacing with some of these contractors. We don't need to necessarily exchange equity, so the terms are different, and I think we haven't really understood that yet. So it's kind of an interesting scenario.
So what if I did?
That's one of the biggest things I was always interested with this whole field was how it's not so you don't have to have quite as many big structures, how it makes a lot of things much more. I mean, decentralized is the buzzword, but that doesn't really mean anything to the average person. What this kind of thing can do for the average person is make it so that the big buzzword, you'll be your own boss or whatever. I want to be self-employed, be their own boss. And it's like, it's kind of a little bit of a buzzword that goes beyond that. Like, I only have a short time on this planet. I want to do what I want to do with this life, because otherwise, why am I alive? I don't want to be living for other people, So having that kind of decentralized way of making deals where you can actually have a relationship where you don't just have like a boss you're always afraid of, or a job you can't wait to get off and have a few beers and you're terrified for Monday again. Like, just having that, just anything that can kind of help do that, I think could be a much greater perspective, right? Be great for humanity as a whole.
Excellent. Well, I'm really excited about this, Rory. So how far can we take it in terms of branding and product placement, would you be willing to have a Dash mouth guard, you know, with like Dash on it? You know, like how far, where's the stopping point? Because you're a class act. So like, what's our barrier? What's the boundary? What won't you want to do?
Can you get gloves to go instant send on them?
Oh, the Bellator gloves, I think.
I think like my end goal would be, you know, complete sponsorship for a fight. I think that would be so sick. But at the same time, I have other sponsors and things that I'm contractually obligated to, you know, to work with and things like that. But I think there's a lot of potential to, you know, to do so many different, like, you know, just you know, showing the brand like when I fight, but also outside of the cage, you know, doing anything. You know, we could make so many different proposals and go from there. But I think that for myself, it's just the beginning. I think it could leak into Bellator, where Dash is sponsoring the Bellator cage, and then you're going to see all the other fighters wearing it. I think it would be just the beginning, and then you're talking about like Dash having segments to, you know, inform people about what it is during Bellator shows, things like that. The bonus system where
Giving away on live would be cool. Yeah, lots of stuff.
yeah, and then people getting to see how the transactions work. I think it would be very cool.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that we're going to be with like Monster and Everlast. I mean, those are huge companies. Yeah, people outside of the MMA world I may not know what Everlast is, but I mean, Monster, that they're huge. They are gigantic.
Yeah, and I guess we're kind of lucky here.
Company.
We're kind of lucky here too, because Rory has been very premium in terms of his brand selection so far. He's not like some of those fighters, you see them, and even DeSantos when he did out, you know, he was Dash was there, but it was like a NASCAR. It's everywhere, right? And like this is a very different scenario. This is Monster, Everlast, and Dash, 3 sponsors at this point. You know, that's it. So we're gonna have some good placement. We got to work out the details. And I mean, with everything, the first rendition, I mean, you're gonna try your best. You're always gonna do your best, right? But you know, that's what we're gonna pull off is this, you know, this premium placement, and it's not gonna be in, you know, it's gonna be in your face, but it's not gonna be cluttered, you know, and that's what I like. Rory likes the simple, I think. Yeah,
it will definitely be very bold, and it won't be clashing against any other logos or anything like that. So that's for sure.
You're gonna get some swag, a hat. Is there some training gear as well? Is that correct?
No, because Everlast is a training. They make fight gear, so we have to really be respectful of Everlast, really, because the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rory, but you know, it's all that stuff that Everlast makes. He can't wear any of that stuff because that's his sponsor already, right? So we have to be, you know, make sure that we're you know, work alongside of that. So I'm the small time Canadian guy, man. Like I forgot that Everlast was like a gear sponsor, right? So I was like, I don't know, Everlast, isn't that the rapper that sings or something? Like, I don't know.
One small request. Rory, I don't know if you've seen these. I think you did when Jeff came to see you at the gym. The Dash glasses, sunglasses.
I knew you were going there,
wore.
dude. I knew you were going there.
That I'm not gonna do.
That would be amazing.
Well, he was not a fan of the glasses, and you know what? Like I said to Rory, I was like, look, we're not here to push anything on you that you aren't comfortable with. You know, you have your own style, and we're going to respect that. So, and I was just trying to look for the glasses, but I must have had them somewhere else. I was going to pull them up. Anyway, yeah, no, you know, he does have a style, guys, and I want to just reiterate that we're here to respect that, and that's part of this synergy deal is that, you know, he's going to represent us well, but also we're going to represent him well, and we're not forcing anything, you know, that he doesn't want to be a part of. This is about everybody being happy, you know, with Rory's going to represent our product better if he feels comfortable wearing what we've got him in, right? That's my opinion anyway.
I hope this to be more of a partnership than a sponsorship.
Yes, of course. Right. And also this has like the good cross promotional effect, because I just in talks about the whole proposal, most people, even some of the people I was talking to who I know who were the most likely to have watched MMA or stuff like that, there was like 9 out of 10 did not know who I was talking about, right? Because there's certain like islands of fandoms, right? And so, but now it's like people who just won't necessarily care, who did not care about MMA in the past. Now it's like, oh, one of our friends is one of the top contenders, and then all of a sudden you get people starting to watch, and it works back and forth between both ecosystems, right? Now someone's like, well, I never used to watch that stuff, but then we started sponsoring Rory, and then wow, now I'm hooked.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. So, guys, this is on Bellator, the fight. January the 20th is the big fight. It's for the welterweight title. So, as we're saying, our community is international. Can this be watched internationally as well? Because you said it's on Spike TV, but they're rebranding to Paramount, right? But is this a pay-per-view event, and is it available to watch online internationally? Do any of you know this?
Paramount, it's basically they have different international like channels that they work with, so it will be shown everywhere. That Paramount and Spike TV have organized. But like for example, I fought in England my last fight, so it was a bit weird. Like my fight in North America was on a tape delay, but it was so it's kind of bizarre how they operate with that. But this fight will be on basic cable. Anybody who has a Spike TV or
it's like primetime TV in the States is basically the target demographic. And then, I'm assuming that there's going to be lots of footage, aired later. A lot of Bellator stuff is time delayed, so it's not like you're watching the event live. Even some of their pay-per-view events, I think, they're all time delayed as well, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, I think that's more for like practical reasons because of time difference. I think if anyone's from Europe or further internationally abroad, I think if you go to Bellator's website, I'm sure there'll be more details online where it'll be applicable to your country. But not long to go. Rory, 20th of January. How's the training going? Are you ready? You pumped for this?
Yeah, no, it's going good. I'm on pace. Everything's where it needs to be right now. So I'm happy. I'm just counting down the days and getting through the hard.
Yeah, well, on that note, Rory, I guess maybe I'll just take the time to say thank you so much for joining us. It was really a pleasure to have you and to have some of your insight into this conversation. And I know you mentioned to me, you were hesitating to even come because it's your hard day-to-day to train. So I want to let you get out of here and get back to the gym. And I just want to say, like, on behalf of Dash and everybody, on behalf of everybody, like, thank you so much for just engaging with us. It was super fun to come meet you and your family and just talk about this one-on-one. And I think like everybody said, this is a partnership that's going to go as far as we want it to go. We can get out of this whatever we want. So thank you so much. It's great to have you, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Rory. I understand.
Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it, and nice talking with everybody. Looking forward to the next one.
Okay, see you later, Rory. Have a good one, man.
Thanks, Rory. Stay dashy.
Wow. I'm super hyped, man. Jeff, that's
he got hyped.
Great. That's huge. Oh man.
Yeah, I'll get the Ethernet connection sorted out. No, I offered to go up and do the podcast with Rory so we could, try to make sure it was clear. But he likes to keep things simple, man. He didn't want a big complicated setup and all this stuff. He's just such a humble guy. So it's so cool to interact with that. It's, you can do a deal on a handshake and trust that he's going to give you his word. And well, what would I do if he didn't, right? Probably try a double leg and fucking hope to hell.
Yeah, I can't imagine what's in store for 2018, guys. I mean, Rory, people outside of the MMA world, he was like top contender MMA. He would be UFC. I guess there was a contractual dispute from what I've read, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, he is, he's right up there. I mean, that Robbie Lawler, Rory MacDonald fight was one of the greatest fights probably ever. It's definitely technical wise. Diego Sanchez. Yeah.
Yes, here's the and obviously me too. I like a MMA nerd explosion over this whole thing. But for the viewers at home who might not be that intimately familiar with MMA, everyone knows who Conor McGregor is, right? And everyone knows that, or anyone who's kind of looked into a little bit Conor McGregor, the only dude who beat him in an MMA match recently has been Nate Diaz. Well, if you look up Rory MacDonald, Nate Diaz, you'll see some clips of just Nate Diaz being absolutely manhandled by Rory, right? It was a very dominant win for Rory. And so
very dominant. He like ragdolled him.
Yeah, I know. And like, no one ragdolled Nate.
There's clips of him like ragdolling Nate, man. Like you don't see that. He smashed Woodley. Who smashes Woodley?
That's the context that people who aren't very familiar with MMA kind of need. The only MMA fighter who recently beat McGregor got totally manhandled by Rory. So it's like this guy, MMA math, you can't do MMA math. But if one were to try to, you could say that this guy could dethrone the king. But
yeah, Rory is by far the biggest fighter at Bellator, and just in MMA in general, he's bigger than probably 90% of the UFC fighters, or I mean, really high up there. I mean, he's like the top of the top. He's upper echelons.
The thing that blows me away is like the co-main event of that fight is Chael Sonnen and Rampage Jackson.
Okay, I wonder when that was going to happen. Wow, they're the wow.
They go before Rory. Rory, Rory's not going to walk last. Lima will walk last because Lima's got the belt, but Rory's walking second last on the biggest card on the rebranding of one of the biggest networks in the States. Like,
Mark,
thank you,
break out your air horns right now.
Ridiculously awesome. I love you guys.
Well, I'm always thinking ahead to the next step because especially if Rory wins this. So this is for a title belt. So there's going to be lots of press, hopefully leading up to this. And obviously if he wins, it's going to open the door to bigger opportunities. If we can speak to the CEO of Bellator as well, and Rory puts in a good word for us, that opens up new avenues as well. I'm not the biggest MMA fan, okay? But I know opportunity when I see it. And if you don't know MMA, if you go on YouTube, there's a very popular interview with Rory in English. The channel's called London Real. It's a very popular interview type YouTube channel. It's about an hour long, and it goes through Rory's life, not just MMA, just all the way back from the beginning, talking about his interactions from UFC to everything else, to his lifestyle. It's really quite fascinating.
I got a link here. I'll drop it in the chat once.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. London Real.
Yeah, just
Rory.
Just make sure you.
Remove the web.
Links sometimes don't show up.
Oh, somebody, Mark or Joel, y'all have to give like this disclaimer thing that Dashworth News is not blah 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 blah.
Yeah. So, and that actually segues into another point I was going to make.
I'm not allowed to post the chat thing.
Well, no, post thing in the chat, whatever.
Google
so
London Real Rory MacDonald.
Yeah,
done.
Yeah, that should work. So, in case it isn't entirely clear, the reason this was not the Three Amigos podcast was never meant to be. It wasn't one of the planned offerings that we had in the very beginning. It was kind of an off-the-cuff idea after I did an appearance on Free Talk Live, and then Brian jumped in and called into the show because there was a Monero troll, and it was like, hey, that's fun. We should do more talk shows. So this is the three of us and whatever other fun dude like Jeff decides to drop in. Just us talking around, just having a good time. This is the world's chance to hear what we have to say as individuals and talk to us as individuals, because a lot of times we're working so hard on all these things. We run a professional news website and everything, and we're just sometimes like, well, do we want to come off as, how fair can we come off here? What are we going to do? Like, how is this going to be perceived that we're representing? This is just us. This is where we just download who we are, personal thoughts and dreams and visions, and just have a good old chat, a good uncensored chat. And that's all it should really be construed as, and should never be like a well, they're openly endorsing as an organization with Masternode funds. Nah, it's just us
it was
hanging out.
always meant to be
And-
a community chat.
And I think that there's a real good power in that, because I've seen the way Jeff posts green candle proposals, etc., and talks about that, maintains a nice air of professionalism and all this kind of stuff. And sometimes I think that that can be a weakness, in fact, because all of us here work really hard because we care about Dash a lot, right? We care about what it represents, where it's going, all this kind of stuff. And I mean, I hope we could hear some of the excitement in the room here today about like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And it's raw passion that's going to drive the Dash community forward. And you can just tell Jess put so much hard work into getting this deal, had so many nail-biting nights, had just so much like, well, what if this doesn't pan out? This is a dream. We're so close. Oh, I mean, I'm not putting thoughts and words into anyone's mind, but this is what drives the community forward, is people caring and working hard for what they care about. And obviously, all of us here have something we care a lot about and we work hard for. And that's contagious, right? Just because, like, I mean, Mark, you say you're not an MMA fan, but
I like frozen
are you a
pizza,
Rory
right?
MacDonald? Are you
I
a
like
Rory
frozen
MacDonald
pizza.
fan now?
But that doesn't mean like Dash Force News represents frozen pizza
Yeah.
and everyone else in Dash Force News likes frozen pizza. That's just me.
Yeah, we'd have to have a debate about that, because, my goodness, I don't think I can stand for that kind of.
But
food.
yeah, no, I do think it's very important to make that distinction. There's a reason why we do this podcast live. It's to have the live Q&A so we can have questions. It's actually to give the community an opportunity for us to keep that communication, that dialogue with you, so we stay in touch with what's going on. So just like our own personal Twitter accounts, separate to Dash Force News, it's our way of digesting it. We're in Dash 24/7, but sometimes when we're not in partner meetings and we're talking like this, we're freely open, and as we would individually to community members. So
Yeah, and that's something that I think.
Oh wow! Does that mean I actually get to say what I want to say? No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
I will make a point though. I will make a point though. Like, you know what? A lot of people come into this community and they want to make a splash. And the one thing I will say is, do you see us going into all these other proposals and making problems where there don't need to be problems, or comments where there don't need to be problems? I think it takes a tremendous amount of professionalism to stay within your silo during these things and not get, try to erode other people's proposals to be able to, do yours better. So I challenge everybody in this community to really stop shooting at the hip when they're making comments, especially in the proposal section of the Dash Central, because those comments are there to stay. And so if you shoot from the hip at an initial reaction, and 2 or 3 days later, when you've actually clicked on all the links and digested all the supplied information, and you have a different opinion, people have already read your post and they've already made a decision potentially even based on your post. And that's something that as a community, we can all make sure that we're not putting little breadcrumbs out there until that's actually a finalized thought. I think that could really help.
Yeah, I mean, everyone should have free expression, and my free expression part is encouraging people to be responsible with their own free expression. I mean, sometimes we're dealing with big business partners, big potentials. This is a huge world. There's lots of money out there. There's lots of other cryptocurrencies, and there's no reason anyone has to come work with Dash. There's no reason unless you make there a reason. And so I really like to, I mean, I talk all the time about how inevitable, oh, Dash is doing great. Oh my gosh, just so much treasury, such a perfect system. We're going to win. It's just going to do so great. And yeah, there is a little bit of place for that kind of hype talk, but at the same time, is everything could not pan out. It's a very real threat.
Well, it's really complex. It's really complex to build one of these systems, though. That's the thing. Like, we don't realize how very little, like, this system is not a very complex system. It's a very, very, very simple system. And a lot of people have made the comment, and I've been thinking about this. I was trying to tweet it the other day, but I just was too much going on. And it's like, people always say, well, I want to have a master node. I'm never going to be able to have a master node. But what they need to realize is that you can unlock unlimited potential with as little as 5 Dash. People say 5 Dash is a lot of money. It actually is the key to unlocking a $10 million budget. So I encourage everybody out there with 5 Dash to think about the fact that, hey, you actually might have 2,000 Dash in your pocket, not just 5 Dash. If you have the right idea and the right skills and the right people, you can comb that 5 Dash into anything you want it to be.
Yeah, and anyone can. That's the thing I keep emphasizing about the DAO, the decentralized autonomous organization that is Dash. No one can stop you from mining and getting Dash. No one can stop you from taking that 5 Dash and putting it to a proposal and getting voted on, right? No one can out you or say, well, we only accept from these people. You get funded, you start working, no one can stop that. No one can stop you from acquiring 1,000 Dash however you want and having a masternode and voting. No one can. This is a completely decentralized system. Anyone can participate, and that's really powerful. And I think that people are like, well, I don't know, I kind of have like 400 or 500 Dash, and I kind of wish I had a masternode now because I want to vote. And they're just like, this system sucks. I'm gonna go like do a forker Dash that has like a lower threshold, or like, okay, you can do that, but you're just missing the point that this is revolutionary. There's so much value already in participating in this ecosystem. I mean, I see a lot of people from less fortunate parts of the world who have been putting in proposals, and some of them have been doing very well now. And I don't think that we in relatively free market areas of the world understand just how huge that is. That just anyone can just get a job, and there's just money available for entrepreneurs who want to make a difference and build something beautiful. And it's not like, well, you have to know these few guys, or like, no, anyone can do it. If your idea is strong enough, you make the case strong enough, you can go for it. It's amazing.
You don't even have to have 5 Dash. You just have to have the idea, and people like Dash Force and Green Candle, if they see that idea, we can, make that happen. So it's, we may require you put some skin in the game. If not, everybody would be flooding us. But yeah, if you got an idea and it's a good idea, you will get funded. You will get, put in a pre-proposal and you will get funded.
Can I mix things up a bit?
No, absolutely not.
And in the live chat, I know you're there. I can see your comments. I want you to get involved in this as well. You're a part of this conversation as well. So I want to hear your thoughts on this.
What are they saying?
December's been a big month, okay? So we're over $1,000 now. Last time I checked, it was like $1,150 around that area, right? So now's the time for that question again. Should the proposal fee be reduced from 5 Dash to 1 Dash to 2
I know
Dash?
Jeff's got.
No, I want to say, like, when you realize the fact that that proposal fee is literally the unlock mechanism to this entire budget, I still think, and I know people always hate on me for this, but I've always said it should be higher, the fee. So you guys are lucky it's not, and I think we should do the best with it. I personally, and this is my own personal opinion, I think that we need the free market to fill the gaps, and there's lots of options, and Green Candle's working on a specific option for that, and we'll share that in the new year. And other people will work on options for that as well. So, and there, we need more escrow companies. I think that's come out, that we don't need just one option. I mean, who's going to escrow the Green Candle proposal, right? So if I'm going to put a proposal in, shouldn't the new entrants, let's get someone else to start an escrow firm, and their first thing can escrow for Green Candle. I mean, this is the type of stuff, you guys, we're open to anything. Like, we're open to making this system whatever you want.
So your position is you're happy with the 5 Dash fee for the time being or permanently, but with the current Dash price right now, you still think 5 Dash is acceptable. You're happy with that. You don't want any change, correct?
It's really hard to sleep at night when you've put in a 5 Dash fee and you watch your proposal all month to, like you guys, you guys are all riding high. All your proposals are all good now. Well, I'm here sitting here watching Venezuela. I still got 10 G's on the line with Venezuela, and it's not looking very good. And that proposal has consumed so much of the time and effort of Green Candle to get it to the point where it was even ready to be voted to the place where it's at. And it's probably not going to go through, you know? So I'm sitting here losing the money still saying this fee is appropriate. So I don't know.
I encourage you to put it back through. I'll go ahead and put up a dash. If it doesn't pass, which it doesn't look like it's probably going to pass, I will put up a dash so y'all can, if you will, you know, I'm sure we could get some more to get that back to. I mean, it made some tweaks and stuff.
Well, the thing is, I think all the tweaks are done. The unfortunate part is I didn't want to rip down the whole proposal thread and basically say, look, you're voting on this being a business development fund for Venezuela. This is no longer about Colibit at all. This proposal has completely changed and evolved from the beginning. We can't change the ask number. So we've changed everything else in terms of what they're going to be dispensed. They're only getting $57,000 dispensed at the new 30-day average of every month that they make their milestones, right? So it's going to take them a while to even get that money. And I was hoping that it would become clear to the masternode owners that they were no longer voting on Colibit, but they were voting on whether we're going to spend 194 Dash in Venezuela to do business development or not. And I attempted to just change the whole thread and say, look, biz dev Venezuela 194 Dash. But I thought it was not fair to Colibit, and it was not fair to the process, that it would be like a bait and switch where like I started with one thing and all of a sudden I'm delivering a completely different thing. But I wanted to save the funds, and I still want to save those funds. You know, we have a lineup of people in Venezuela that are ready to use those funds. I think there's one other exchange already that put in a pre-proposal that never did a proposal, a Crypto Flex or something. I forget there's another guy that posted in the thread that he would be willing to do, or they were doing something. I mean, I think we could spend that money very well in Venezuela, but I didn't get across to the masternode owners very well that that's what that proposal's turned into.
Yeah.
On
the same question that Mark asked, I used to kind of be to lower the proposal, but I know Jeff was to keep it high, and now I'm kind of more coming around to that way of thinking. And you also got to think that myself and Jeff, we don't have to vote on these things, but we do vote on these things. And when there's, you know, the last couple of months, there was like, you know, so many proposals. I wasn't able to even research all of the proposals to be able to vote on. So the higher it is, the better, or, you know, I don't want to lower it too low. We need to have a discussion about where it should be.
I don't think it needs to change, but something that someone just said in the live chat, I wanted to point out from Raimi. He's always a very smart guy. He says, it makes no sense that someone who receives 100 Dash risks the same as someone requesting 15 Dash. So I think that's a pretty appropriate
That's a good segue actually into Joel.
Yes. So this is the true story of my proposal, right? So I put in a proposal to sponsor the New Hampshire Liberty Forum in February. And originally I was talking to the organizers and we were going to do a gold sponsorship, right? Gold sponsorship is $5,000. Now, proposal fee is like closer to $6,000. So what you like put in a proposal.
So it's like buying coffee with Bitcoin. Is this where you're going with this?
Yeah, sort of like that. But so what it did end up making me do is I decided to up the sponsorship from just the 5,000 gold sponsorship to the 10,000 platinum sponsorship, and sponsor the 2 coffee breaks for $750 each. And so part of it was this almost didn't happen because it wasn't, the proposal fee was as high or maybe even bigger than the project itself. That's the negative side of it. The positive side is it pushed me to think bigger and ask bigger. And the masternodes, I think I only got two no votes so far. So it's like got overwhelming support even when I asked for more than I thought.
Hold on, I can throw some more no's at that for you.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels insulting because I think other people.
Amanda even gets 34 no votes, right? Like there's someone on the network that votes no every month with 34 votes all the time. Like if you look through, it's like always divisible by 34. Well, I don't know. That's probably me.
I'm pretty sure they've done it on Dash Force proposals as well. I'm pretty sure I've seen that block, that no block.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe
like,
just
if you have 34 no's, it's 0. I don't know.
No, we used to have about 3 whales that would make up about 90% of our no votes. Now there's a 4th one who's got like 20 nodes. But yeah, there's just a few people that make up like 90% of our no votes. One thing I want to ask Jeff real quick, because he said something and I want to make sure I understood it correctly about we've talked about it before about the 30-day moving average. And I think everybody's agreed, which I don't necessarily like it, but there's no other better way about making the 30-day moving average on the day that you propose it, basing your stuff off that. But you said something, Jeff, about now when these things get paid out, though, I think that's how we're going to do Dash Force this next time, is base our original ask on the 30-day moving average from the day that it's submitted. However, now when you pay these out, like you're fixing to pay Scott out again, are you using the 30-day movement? Why wouldn't you just pay him exactly what the price is that day?
No, we're still using the 30-day moving average from the month.
I don't like that, though. I mean, if he's going to be, I understand at the first to do it like that, but it seems like you would want to do it.
The reason for it, let me explain why we've settled at that, and you can just decide if you like the logic or not. But it's from a managerial standpoint. At the beginning of the month, we have to be able to set the price for all of the project managers to be able to go forward with their proposals for that month. So our original thing, and I was trying to get to this in the live chat, but it didn't get much traction, is that we're trying to do planning for a month. So I was using the previous 30-day moving average because that's a closed price that I know in my finances works. So I could have the 30-day moving average ready for all of my project managers to go forward, have one meeting, get every project manager the escrow address they needed, the 30-day moving average they needed, and then sign off on the due diligence, because we're doing due diligence before the proposal is actually getting to be submitted from us. So that was created from a managerial workflow.
I don't see that it works, though, because it's still going to be the 30-day moving average is going to change as well. I would rather see it just on the payout date. It is whatever it is, and then Scott would get exactly what he's like. If it's 90,000, he's going to get 90,000. He's not going to get like 120 based on the moving average because he's asked for 90. That's what he needs to pay his bills. That's exactly.
But that's not the price of Dash throughout the whole month, and so he needs to plan. He's using those funds to operate for the entire month of operations. If Dash fluctuates in price during that month, his cost of being able to run his business changes. That's why That's why we arrived at the 30-day moving average, was for that fluctuation. You guys are not taking into account negative months and fluctuation that is going to happen eventually when this bubble, if we're in a bubble, that's why we're planning that.
Well, I think what happens if the price goes down instead of up, and then are people going to take a cut? It doesn't.
No, Green Candle is covering like we're paying that out of our pocket.
But if there's a loss, I mean, if the price goes down,
I'm paying that out of my pocket.
Yeah.
You guys, nobody else wants to take the risk. Yeah, it is risky. It's super risky, but the Dash Network needs someone to take that risk on their behalf right now. And we've decided we're willing to step up and do that because we have enough allocation of resources to take these risks, and they're not putting us in an uneasy situation.
Yeah, there is no perfect solution. I've tried to think of there is no perfect solution. So, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
When we look at it over the course of a month, that's why we chose the averages. So again, I'm open to the discussion. Hopefully, I see Troy Dash is in the live chat. What's up, Troy Dash? He always loves to give me alternate opinions. So hopefully he'll drop some truth bombs on us.
So everyone's in agreement that the 5 Dash proposal fee should be reduced to 1 Dash.
No, nobody even said that.
I'm saying it. I don't. Okay. I don't believe it super strongly based on
that's too low.
Things. Well, hold on. Let me give it very clear, right? I think the 5 Dash proposal fee is too high considering how otherwise difficult it is to get proposals passed because there aren't enough resources for new proposal owners. For example, how do you structure a proposal? How do you write out the value for Dash? What are people looking to see? Should there be escrow? All this kind of stuff. There isn't a neat guide. And of course, I'm starting to work on something like this, right? But without giving away too many spoilers. But there isn't a neat one-stop shop where people can just say, look, if I have a solid proposal, it is a very high chance of passing. I'm willing to put up the 5 Dash fee. The problem is you got a lot of people with very good ideas, very good proposals, very good offerings for the Dash network who front $6,000 or something and get rejected because not because their proposal was bad, but because just, I don't know, something wasn't tweaked right. And they had no way of knowing that that should have been tweaked before they lost all the money, and then they just don't come back. I mean, that's the problem. So the 5 Dash can absolutely and should absolutely remain if contractors have good enough expectations and help navigating this whole process. Now, if we're just going to leave it Wild West like it is now, I'd say lower the fee.
Now, Tongfa has put up, there's a guy that Tongfa did, and Bill Tong, who was doing something similar that we had helped sponsor. They've put up a guide, and he was going through and like helping them and giving people, he was going through all the pre-proposals and saying, hey, here's the best practices, basically, if y'all want to, get it passed. And in the 5 Dash, it's, if you have a great idea, there will be people that's going to come help you with the proposal fee. Dash Force can help. There's Jim Birch's thing. I want to say Karma Fund, but I think that's Nate's thing.
No, that's Fund is Nate Dogg, aka
there's multiple
instantkarmafund.org.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, we know this. A lot of the people in the live chat might know this, but who just hears about Dash has any idea how this, where is their dash.org, here's how to do proposal. There's just the proposal submission thing. And if you somehow through some miracle find the wiki, there's a little like guide about successful proposal, but as all it just says, put a pre-proposal in and talk it through in the forums. And there isn't the whole, well, you should have some kind of escrow thing figured out. You should go in the Discord channel, right? You should absolutely follow this template of this is how you organize your thoughts for the proposal. This is how you communicate the value of Dash, right? The value to Dash. You also should yourself or have someone who works for you be watching all the comment threads pretty much all the time. At least check in once a day for an hour or so and answer every single question all the time. Otherwise, like some people just say, hey, I'm just going to submit my proposal, see if they like it. And it goes down, not because the proposal is not good, but because they just didn't hang out and answer the comments enough. Yeah,
Tongfa's thing
this is new to a lot of people. People don't know how to do this. And as long as they know how to do that, the fee is great.
Yeah, Tongfa's thing is sticky at the top of the pre-proposals. However, and when I talk about it, doing Troll Patrol or just commenting in various YouTube videos or wherever it is, and I talk about the proposal, I always try to include that, yes, if you have a great idea, you don't, because there's the trolls will say, oh, yeah, it's, $6,000. And I always try to say, well, yes, if you have a good idea, you will get help. But yes, it needs to be more widely known for sure.
So I'm actually considering, I'll have to find the right avenue for that. Maybe discoverdash.com might be a good one. Maybe there's another site that can be built. Maybe it'd be on Dash Force News. But to just do this is the one place you need to go to find everything you need to have a proposal, including what are the escrow services available? How many people even know that Green Candle exists if they're not in the ecosystem already, right? I mean, how many people know that they can use these services? How many people know that there's this Discord channel they need to go to? How many people know there's a Mastodon-only channel in there? How many people know?
There needs to be a,
So-
a separate DAO, like a smaller Green Candle that goes after these smaller proposals. And I'm sure Jeff can tell you, just, he's going after bigger things, and I'm sure it's a nightmare logistically and everything else. Can you imagine trying to manage all the smaller projects? It's a huge task.
Has anyone?
So we have a solution for it. I'm just trying to see if I can share the document that I've written. I'll just see if Jeremy emails or texts me back about whether I can share it or not. But yeah, we have actually, like, someone's commented in the thread, like, I don't think Green Candle has any plans for the extra funds and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, no.
We haven't end here. What is Green Candle?
Yeah, what is Green Candle? Exactly. What is Green Candle?
That's what my girlfriend calls me because she loves the D.
You've spray painted that thing green? Gross.
And our website needs some work there too. It definitely needs to, it's going to get a little bit of a once over. So some of that content might be available there, because I did want to bring up that there's a little bit of a difference between using Green Candle and using Core for escrow, because we sometimes, or with certain proposal owners, we actually end up being more of an incubator, or there's an option there to have that service, because we're not only helping you train and comb your responses to the community, we're helping you get an organized plan with your responses, so you're not coming off like you're shooting at the hip constantly. And we're trying to get a professional feel to the commentary that runs through, so that we answer the budgetary stuff, the proposal owner directly answers everything else. And that's different than a core escrow where you get an address for their wallet and then you get to go do the proposal all by yourself, submit by yourself. And so, I think that is something that I wanted to point out, that there's room here for services like this, where it's an incubator or it's an escrow or whatever it is, or it's multiple options. We're just doing this because the community needs it. It's a fairly finite business model in terms of trying to like scale, because eventually there's a pragmatic way to do all this stuff, and it doesn't need to be done by a trusted third party. The super smart guys in the background, shout out to Utajin and some of the devs that are, Cheplin and all those guys that are just work so tirelessly to make this thing at the back end work. We're in a stage where we're in between a pragmatic way to do it and just a manual kind of process, right? And so a lot of these things do have a finite life cycle. Green Candle is not going to need to be around for probably more than 2 years. I don't know. Like, it doesn't need to be there for that long. So it's not something that I can build into this glorious business model to make a bunch of money. And I have no desire to do that. I have desire to have a legal structure that protects me and the people involved with a corporate veil, so that our personal, we're not getting personally liable by anything. And that's the thing, is we're doing it properly by the law in our country, and that requires we follow some laws and follow some rules and engage with people, and that can be expensive. But we have no interest in this other than to fill the void for the community, because that serves our investment in Dash better. And I think we'd love to see other escrow firms. Like I said, who's going to escrow for us? Can we escrow for our own thing? Should Core escrow for us for Green Candle? Maybe that's how it should go. Or
Well,
should
we may be able to do it. Yeah.
I said to someone, I forget who, would Dash Force open an escrow arm and do maybe not the incubator style thing, but like we could do escrow if it was trusted. Like you would just have to generate a couple of addresses out of cold storage. You could just have like 1 or 2 addresses, like for smaller and for bigger proposals, and they would just be knowing that this is the Dash Force escrow address. And it wouldn't even take anything. It would just be a wallet address that you guys controlled. And people could just grab that and they say, oh, we feel Dash Force escrow is better, or we want to work with Green Candle escrow, or like, and then that allows us to have all these addresses ready. We don't have to keep going to cold storage to get our equipment and all this kind of stuff. It can actually scale. Like, again, we have to scale all this stuff. You guys forget that, like, it's great to solve a problem, but you have to scale it. And so
it's a huge undertaking. We do help, other projects and stuff, but as far as the escrows, I mean, it's just a huge can of worms. I mean, as far as how big of a project and how small. I know people have brought up regarding Green Candle, people have said, do y'all want to go and do a monthly proposal to where y'all just get paid? And because I see that there's different, I think Green Candle should have different fees, maybe not just a 10%. I know we're still in the early days, still figuring it all out, but maybe not, some proposals, yes, Dash Force can definitely, that are going to be easy. That's going to be an easy escrow, somebody that we know is going to do what they say they're going to do. We just need to hold the funds, and it's just going to be a simple Dash transfer. But if you're talking about something like the Gap, I think that's where you ask for more of a escrow fee, because you're dealing with lawyers, you're dealing with going into fiat, you're dealing with tax stuff, you're dealing with all kinds of others. It's not just there's different levels of escrow. And one other thing real quick on escrow is there's been a lot of talk about escrow. We haven't even talked about the Ben Swan thing, but there's been a lot of talk about escrow. There's 2 different issues with escrow. One is that, do we trust this person that they're going to not run off with the funds or whatever? Now, in Ben Swan's case, at least myself, and I think anybody that knows who Ben Swan is or anything about him knows that no, he's not going to run off with the funds. But there's another part of escrow about kind of what we had talked about earlier with a 30-day moving average, and being able to, if Dash triples in price while he's got this proposal, he's going to have a lot of extra leftover. it would be nice
Sorry,
to have like a
did
green.
you say if, or was that a when?
When?
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
I think
sorry.
it is. I'm thinking it is going to double or triple in the next couple of months. I don't know, but yeah, we.
Well,
in
I
that-
know
in that-
Mark
in
has
that instance,
0.1 Dash riding on it being under 1,000 by the end of March.
Yeah, but in that instance, we do need a green candle type escrow that captures some of those funds, and it goes back into a reserve fund to where it can be used, voted on other proposals. So there's two different escrow issues.
So the problem with capturing funds though is actually the legal obligation. Because if let's say I capture the funds into fiat for the network, like there's, they want $100,000 or something just for that month. Once I've actually made it into fiat, I have a taxable obligation, at least inside of Canada, to do, depending on why it's being turned into fiat. So we're exploring other type of structures where we could have like a trust that it's donated to and some sort of grant system or whatever. But I haven't got the ability to share exactly that yet. And again, people have brought up, hey, Canada's not the best place to do this. And that's fine. It's just Canada's the place that I'm in. It's the place that I'm comfortable doing business in. And it's the place that I have a lot of advisors in that I trust. And we're gotten to the point where we have people that are willing to step up and work with us. We've got Deloitte that's willing to actually send us a memo, giving us a stance on some of this stuff. And that took a lot of work. We're still waiting for the final memo from the GAP proposal. And every single proposal that someone escrows is a different scenario. If you're moving it to fiat, it's one scenario. If you're taking an escrow fee, it's a different scenario. If you're not taking an escrow fee, it's a different scenario. So far, Green Candle's been through like 5 different scenarios. We've only got legal outline on one scenario, but that one actually had touched fiat, so it mattered in terms of time sensitivity. General Bytes, we did that entire proposal for free. I flew out to Prague to meet with Karel. I sat down with Karel. Actually just flew from London to Prague, but whatever. I was already in Europe. I flew over there. I sat and met with him, and it took me 4 hours just to convince them that Dash isn't an Instamine scam coin. And once they actually understood, literally once they understood that this isn't the case, it's just a lot of misinformation and a lot of things, and we're Litecoin and all these things, but better, and Bitcoin, but better, and 3.0 web, whatever, and we're a platform, a service, a product, a utility, whatever,
economy.
Like economy. When you realize this stuff, suddenly, I left that meeting thinking, oh, well, maybe I made some headway with General Bytes, and then I went over to Parapolice and enjoyed this entire crypto friendly exhibition where I had the Dash guy was buying people beers with Litecoin because that was all I could use, and suddenly I'm going to go back to that environment now because of our work. And we didn't take anything for that. We just did General Bytes for free. But now we have the legal obligation. We got to get the legal opinion. That should be pretty simple. I mean, we didn't take any fees and we just gave them all the money. So I don't know what we would really be responsible for. But there is a kind of a neat thing that's happening. Whereas if we're not working with a Canadian company that's touching fiat, and we're not touching fiat, and we can keep all of our escrow fees in Dash, we're kind of in this area where the government of Canada doesn't really have any taxable obligations to our funds because we're never touching their currency. That even the currency that we're touching is considered a commodity, and it's not considered a taxable gain until you've actually converted it to fiat. So a lot of people say Canada's not a great spot for this, but you know what? I implore you to review. It's no different than property here.
So let me ask you this then: how much easier is it to escrow a proposal that only ends up being in Dash? For example, let's just say for some reason we got like 700-800 net no votes on the Ben Swan proposal, and that got just destroyed, and he needed to come back with escrow, but he wants to pay everyone in Dash, right? He doesn't need to do fiat conversion, or he'll do it on his end. That's got to be a lot easier on your end, and therefore
yes, a lot easier, and in terms of taxable obligations to our government. That's what makes it easier. There's still legal obligations because we got to make sure we have enough contact with the person and the business that we're signing the MOU with, because we're the ones that are going to be going after them legally, right? So if we have to enact that, we got to make sure that you know, our legal contract is binding in our country and their country and stuff. So it complicates the law side, and you're an international law guy, so you can probably speak more about how it could complicate the law side of it. But it really, really simplifies the taxable obligations. And that's the thing that gets you shut down, right? It's CRA, you know, the Canada Revenue Agency or the tax boss. You got to keep them happy. You know, when you're in these legal gray areas where there's been no precedent set, you just kind of operate based on the best precedent. And so our stance is we're taking a very similar stance as Quadriga CX, the largest exchange in Canada. So one of the things that their founders sort of built upon was the principle of we're not just going to do what is required, but we're going to go over and above, okay? So we're taking that same approach where we don't want to just do what is required. We want to go over and above and prove that we've done as much due diligence as possible inside of our country based on the systems that are appropriate right now. And that's what we're trying to do with these proposals. So that's pretty exciting.
I have a question that you may or may not be able to answer, Jeff. And if you can't, just, you know, or if you need to answer it later, let me know. It's how about for proposal people that want to deal with all the legal and contractual stuff on their own, and the only thing that the network's looking for escrow is just someone to grab the funds so they don't run away with it and then just send it when it's time, and just that's it. Obviously, that doesn't sound like something Greed. It doesn't sound like something Greed Candle wants to do. Is there anyone in the ecosystem who's kind of like anywhere they could turn for something just that simple, just super simplified like that?
So I wouldn't say it's not something we don't want to do, because we're exploring how we could have like a tiered system. And so that was where I had the idea, Brian, about the pre-generating the escrow addresses. So we were thinking, like, when we post our update for the new year going forward, you know, we have maybe 2 escrow addresses that you can use if you want us to escrow a proposal, and there will be no fee attached to it at all. You literally want no contact with us. You're going to take our address. You're going to put it into the blockchain. Someone is going to be able to tell that it's our Green Candle escrow address, and escrow's done. They don't even need to talk to us about it. Yeah, it's generated from our cold storage at the beginning of the year, and it can be advertised there, and the network can get to know that address. So I think we could absolutely involve or spin off something like that for the network very easily. We could also get an address from Core, and maybe we could have an option that Core would provide that and Green Candle would provide that. I mean, you know, we had someone openly say, I chose not to use escrow this month because I didn't feel your guys' proposals had a chance to pass at all.
So if I understand this correctly, you want the proposal fee to go down to 1 Dash, and you want the masternode collateral to go down to 500 Dash.
Absolutely. You absolutely don't understand that correctly. Yeah, no.
Aren't you glad, Mark, that Rory doesn't live in the UK? Because Jeff could sick him on you to beat your ass right now for being such an annoying person.
The one thing that I've learned this month from the proposal cycle, and I'm sure everyone watching this already knows, and for those watching live, there's only 19 hours left to vote. And I just want to give a quick shout out to the Hard Fork series, because we didn't mention them last week. We spoke about many other proposals. I actually watched the live Ask Me Anything video they did yesterday. So I would encourage you to watch that, because I actually learned a lot more about it. I didn't actually give that much time to actually look into the proposal because there was just so much stuff, but that video answered a lot of questions for me. So if you are one of those people that have abstained or wasn't too sure, definitely go check that out, because that really made my mind up about it.
Yeah, I had abstained at first because of and I mentioned something in the comment section about the face tattoos that everybody had. I thought that was just weird, and I suggested that maybe they just do something smaller on the temple. They were really open to something like that. So I voted yes on that one. I voted yes on almost everything.
Yeah, and my final recommendation to Masternode owners is please just
personal with
vote. You can. It's personal. This is me, and speaking as me. I would encourage Masternode owners to go out there and vote. There's a nice, handy, brand spanking new, I don't know, for a few months, abstain option for when you just don't know and you just don't want to be responsible for it. Also, you can, and I know there are some people who've done this in the past, like I think Richard Otto used to do this. You can kind of trust other people with how you vote. I mean, I would recommend if you have a lot of money invested in the Dash network, you should probably pay attention to what's going on for yourself. However, it is no one's saying you can't have a delegate. No one's saying you can't just hire someone, have a good friend or whatever, and just say, hey, can you look forward? Can you do a few hours of research into all these proposals and just tell me what's up? I mean, no one has to, you don't have to hire someone to make your voting decisions for you, but it's okay. Just please everyone vote, and please everyone try to make sure there's an education behind that vote. There's research behind that vote. And
if you're gonna dump like 40 or 50 or 1 million no votes, can you make a comment? Like,
yeah, please.
We're not open to poor comments. I just want to know, like, it's really, really hard to solve this problem for you guys if you're not going to be open with us. If maybe you want an anonymous email, I'd be happy to set up some sort of anonymous email that you could give me some sort of proof that who you are, or that you have some sort of thing, so you're not just trolling us, and then you an anonymous email with proof. I saw your laugh. I just mean, like, I don't want to get trolled, but I want to know why you guys are saying no. And if you have an honest opinion about it, can you let us know? Because it's really costly for us to have to kind of brute force our way through this black box. And some people are only doing it with one proposal a month. I mean, we've had 2 this month, and it's hard. Like, it's taken us 5 months just to get the data we need to try to kind of go forward and be like, okay, fine, let's do it like this and see what happens. Because I've been kind of gun shy about telling people how we're going to do it. I keep wanting to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I think we're going to turn over a new leaf and just say, you know what, this is what our business acumen is telling us. This is what needs to happen. Take it or leave it. And if you leave it, that's fine. At least we tried our best, and we did something that we're comfortable and we're proud of. And that's the thing, right? Is I want to be proud of it. I don't want to get in trouble. I just want to change the world for a positive for Dash.
Yeah, we get
one
that
vote at a time, you know.
We get that on the Dash Force proposal too. Like I said, there's only like 3 or 4 whales that make up 90% of our down votes. But yeah, they don't really, nobody really says why.
We need a bigger pool of voters. Like, there's what, 4,600 master nodes? And if you look through the proposals, like Joel's, for example, sorry, Joel, I'm going to pick on you now. So Joel's in the green, right? So he's currently passing 229 votes in the plus, in the good side, right? But that's only 697 yes votes on his proposal. This month, I've learned that there's a huge divergence from sometimes what the community wants and from what the masternode owners want. And I'm still a strong proponent of bringing the collateral down to 500, because we need more people voting and we need more input. And I don't think
more nodes.
Is it got nothing to do with being? We don't need more nodes. Why do you guys
you're going to say more skin?
We're just trying to get you excited, man.
Is a lot
we
of
have way
skin.
too many nodes already. Like,
No, that's what I said. No, that's what I said. We need more votes, but we don't need more nodes.
We don't need more nodes. Yeah, like, we have so much computational power wasted right now.
Listen, I've talked to Mark about this too, but I you know, if we did need more nodes, I would totally support it, but we don't.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is I think that's a big thing about, should masternodes be required to vote? I don't think so. Although I'm not quite sure, because now that there's an abstain option, then someone who's lazy, it's like, in order to get their funds, just log in, go abstain. At least we get like some kind of at least you show up, right? The problem is
I think it's an interesting play. It's an interesting thought. Like, could you make some sort of proof of service with your voting so that you got your block reward, or you missed a block reward or something? Or like, if you didn't vote for X number of things, you'd go into some other list and you'd be eligible to get kicked out of the top 10% quorum before you got paid or something. Like, some sort of, you could pragmatically maybe do that, but it is interesting. I mean,
so 500.
Someone in the live chat, though, I just wanted to bring up a couple comments. Owen Mall, I hope I said that right, is what about Colibit? Any comments on that one? Obviously, I noticed that. Yes, it's a business development fund for Venezuela. We want to spend 194 Dash in Venezuela, not with with Colibit, but with others as well, and they're getting $57,000 over like 6 months. So they won't even see all that money till like July or something.
Seems like a steal.
It's such a steal. Like, and we're not moving the funds. They're just going to sit there until you guys tell us what to do with the rest of them.
Yeah, one thing real quick, Jeff, I want to circle back about, because people have been bringing it up in the Discord chat about a monthly, having Green Candle move to a different, formula or whatever. Because one thing that we do in Dash Force is, yes, we have sponsored proposal fees for people like the Biltong thing and other things, and Joel's the Freedom thing, but that's because we don't get paid. We don't take a cut, off of. We don't, and maybe Green Candle, people are asking about, that Troy Dash, I think, was one. If y'all wanted to do like a monthly, what are your thoughts about? You know what I'm talking about?
Like if Green Candle's going to do an actual proposal?
No, just do like a monthly. They want to pay you like monthly instead of y'all taking the escrow fee. I think that's what they're saying. They just want to pay you a monthly fee. That's what a lot of people
so a proposal for Green Candle's operational cost. So if we did an operational cost proposal, there would still be a proposal fee associated, I think, or an escrow fee associated with proposals. It could be much lower, but I don't think you can have a business model where you work and then don't do anything. Like you can't it just doesn't scale unless they're going to pay the profit on top.
I don't know.
Usually it doesn't scale very well. Like, I mean, I'm happy for it to be a very small fee, but the thing that I don't think people appreciate sometimes is that I'm not always here asking for a fee because I want the fee. I'm here asking for a fee so that when the guys replace us that need a fee to do this, they're going to be able to collect a fee. And there's people out there that don't have or aren't in the position that we are to do these kinds of things. And I would hate to sell out for nothing and have those people have to come in and then work for nothing because I did it and it wasn't a sustainable solution. In every business that I've been involved in, if the business can't sustain itself, I don't get involved. That means a business has proper expenses. It means it pays a line item on its budget for everything a normal business should pay for. If it can't sustain its operations out of that cash flow, it's not it's not a business that's going to be there for the future. And so I don't want to be involved as an investor, and I mandate that in all of my investments. And so it's really, really hard for me to do that with these investments in Dash because it's totally different. And so I'm not going to design an unsustainable model to fix this. I'm happy to take throw some darts at the board, and I'm assembling what I feel is a very, very good team. We've got Jeremy in Vancouver and Nate in Vancouver. We've got Hansa out in the Czech Republic. I've got two guys local as well, Ryan and Clark, to help me around here. I mean, we've got a very good team of people that I'm assembling, and all these people are willing to volunteer. They're volunteering for a one dash to manage a proposal for us on terms of like our side. And some of that I'm having to pay personally out of my own pocket because I don't want to muddy the discussion about what's going on with the funds because I haven't got the legal obligation yet as to whether I'm allowed to move them out of the funding lanes or not. So it's easier just to inject the funds into Green Candle myself and have a deficit in the company that's owed to me and then allow us to do operations, because that's the thing is you can't operate a business with someone else's money. It's a very, very difficult, confusing kind of thing. Like you have to give them enough that they feel worthwhile, but you can't give them so much that you lose the ability to do business and act autonomously. And that's the system that we're trying to solve right now. And that's why I asked for those votes. Like, if you're going to say no to 40 times, tell us why.
Yeah, on behalf of the most of the community, on behalf of most of the community, I want to thank Green Candle for doing what they're doing. I know it's a lot of work because we've dabbled in some of it, and I've looked at what y'all are doing. It's a lot of work, and it needs to be done, and nobody was stepping up to do it. People were like, Dash Force should do this. We can't do everything. There needs to be Green Candle. There needs to be other Green Candles. There needs to be more people need to step up.
I already own Red Candle, so don't even try.
How about Blue Flashlight?
Blue Flashlight sounds amazing. Someone like there's some other community members that are well known enough, and as long as I can trust their cold storage. Like, for example, do any of you guys test the wallet address you're requesting your funds to be deposited to on the Superblock? Has anybody ever noticed? that every green candle escrow is always is tested with a 0.01 dash transaction prior to us submitting our address for escrow, so that we can guarantee that those funds are going to be available for us after the fact. People don't ask those questions. People don't do that. They just put their address in and hope we don't burn 1,800 dash or whatever. No, we actually test this stuff. We're creating formulas to fix this. They're not all perfect, but we're willing to put the time and effort in to do that. And that's outside of my obligations to core.
Yeah.
So
that's one thing that I think should really come through for especially any master owner watching this, is there's a lot of work that goes into trying to work under the Dash ecosystem. It's such an experimental thing. I mean, this is so new. It's so like, how much, like, remember the Alt36 proposal that just got rejected because it was to a multi-sig address? They had to redo that one. Remember the Estonian one that caused an error and crashed the whole thing because they had like a decimal point in how much dash they asked? This is so experimental right now still, and have a little bit of compassion for the people trying to work under this system. And I just see so many people so casually just say, oh, just why don't you use escrow? And then here we have, for like at least half an hour, 45 minutes, the guy working hardest to make this happen, expressing why it's so hard and why it's so not a slam dunk always, and why it can be so frustrating. I mean, you can't just tell proposal, just use escrow. Just do it again next week. Just come up with another $6,000
or
next
use
week
escrow, but shit on the escrow company. Like, it's like, what do you guys want? Like, it's
yeah.
I don't know.
Realize that there's a reason why. I mean, about 52% of the budget is slated to be paid out, like about half. Nowhere near the entire amount has even been asked for. So even if you greenlit every single proposal, there's still millions of dollars on the table. That might be a problem. I mean, we can't just be like, okay, the budget is 20 million now and only 2 million got paid out because we haven't made the system work yet. We have to realize that this is so experimental, and that the pioneers, there's a lot of risk behind throwing your life savings behind, a few thousand dash, whatever, to get some master nodes way back in the day. And, you could have lost everything if Dash went down the toilet. And that you have to realize that there's a lot of other pioneers who are risking everything as well to just try to make this new thing work. And just please, let's all work together in making this thing actually work and be a well-oiled, beautiful machine that the world's never seen anything like it. Let's not just be like, just whatever, just handle it. Let's all try to work cooperatively to make this thing work well.
Mark, I finally got a text back from Jeremy, and he said I'm allowed to share. So can you just say to me again what you have figured out that the new scenario is going to be around the budget? You said it's 1 dash to submit.
Yeah.
Right? And
500
and what is
the collateral from
okay, well, go to heck with the collateral for the masternode stuff, but let me just share with you something I wrote while I was flying out to meet Quadriga. And I just want to share it because the community has asked a lot about what are we going to do with the extra funds and how that's going to work. And maybe this will kickstart someone into building it before we build it, and maybe not, and we'll just build it and everybody will love it. So this idea has been founded off the need for a solution to the pork barrel problem. I wish I could read this and look at the screen. The pork barrel problem that arises as an escrow company operating in an extremely volatile market. Another contributing factor to developing this solution is the need and request from the community to open up voting to a larger electorate beyond just the second tier of the network. The last contributing factor is the constant debate around lowering the cost of submitting a proposal to the network for funding. So these are 3 pillars that we built this idea off of, okay? Let's address the pork barrel problem. Let's lower the voting fee, and let's make the electorate larger. Oh my God, what is he doing to me?
I don't know.
Okay, I love it.
Sketchball.
Okay, I love it. Okay. So Green Candle is proposing that we build and maintain a new website that has similar functionality as some of the most well-known sites for supporting proposals. There is a large difference, though, to how the Grant Center will work compared to how the current proposal system works, and it's our pleasure to outline it for you. The Grant Center will be an open proposal system that anybody with 1 dash can submit a proposal to. Proposals submitted to GCGC will not exist on the blockchain like major proposals, but will instead exist off-chain inside of a database of the GCGC site. User registration will be open to the public as well, and a user will be able to register as part of the electorate by signing and verifying they own 5 Dash. As long as they maintain the 5 Dash in their voting wallet, they will be able to vote on the proposals. All proposals for the grant center will be funded from the pool of available funds left over inside of the escrow accounts of abandoned, voted down, or leftover proposal funds that Green Candle is holding on behalf of the network.
I'm getting a little bit aroused right now.
I love it. I love it so far.
It gets a little better. The 1 Dash proposal fee will be pooled and collected to help with the operational costs of the grant center. If this pool of fees ever gets sufficiently large, the unneeded portion will be funneled back into the grant center funding pool so it's available for future proposals. With the leftover funds, we would also like the approval for the network. Oh, I haven't read this for a while, so I hope I'm not saying anything. Anyway, with the leftover funds, we would also like the approval from the network to start collecting small amounts of fiat in major fiat currencies that could also be available. Oh, yeah, I'm going to share this. This is fine. Could also be available to proposal owners or network contractors that required payment in fiat. The value of these accounts would be capped, and they are only intended for saving for the future. An example that comes to mind would be to start saving now for season 2 of The Gap, or perhaps that Super Bowl ad. Both of these would require a large amount of US fiat. We want to reiterate that we are trying to solve the pork barrel problem, not make it worse. This entire system is being formalized, and this is why we wanted an open discussion with the community. During the last quarter of operations and the last 3 proposals, we have learned a great deal from our experience and are now formalizing a plan so that we can improve upon the friction that we have discovered. I think I'll stop there. So we've purchased GCGC.io, Green Candle Grant Center. The site right now just redirects to our main site, but we're going to be building out some content there. And I mean, I don't have the team to build this, so let me just say that. This is a concept. This is not something that I've formalized a team around. I'm open. I have been in communication with one guy, and I hate that I don't remember his name, but he was on Twitter. And he put in the proposal for the Dash grassroots. What is this guy's name? I'm so mad. The grassroots. Anyway, it was like last July or something. Someone put in a proposal called Dash Grassroots, and I'm gonna look him up real quick because we've been chatting. Martin. So at Martin, MartinRue. So Martin Rue. What's up, Martin? Sorry, I forgot your name, homie. I'm talking to lots of people. But anyway, Martin put in his proposal, and it was a very similar idea. The problem is that they didn't have a need for the extra funds, and we've got these extra funds. So we thought if we had this grant center, the community would feel great about something like Venezuela getting passed, because those 194 Dash could go in, they could come back out, and if they didn't work, they would just sit in the funding lane, and then the community could vote on where to spend them. So that's the idea. We've been working on that for a long time. I think I wrote that back before any of this December cycle stuff, so I haven't adjusted it. We're looking at whether we do that. We could do it on a website, like a kind of a Dash Central type website. We thought that would be fun because it's the exact same functionality. You log in, just like you verify a masternode, you'd verify you own 5 Dash, so Mark could get a vote. Yay, Mark. And as long as you don't move your 5 Dash, you get to keep voting. And so you're voting inside of this grant center, and it would also give us a mechanism. So for example, let's say Venezuela works, we pass Colibid, and now we have this 194 Dash. We could put it into the grant center, and then it's much easier for the people in Venezuela to ask for the money. We wouldn't have to do a proposal each time costing 5 Dash to let you guys say yes or no to, like, do you support us spending this funds on the next exchange? It could just be voted on by the grant center.
Cool.
Wow. Can you forward that on to Joel?
Yeah.
I'd like to see perhaps an article on that. I want to look into it further. But
Forward on
guys,
what, like the outline of the grant center?
the outline of that. Yeah. Boys, it's the 29th of December, which means there's only 2 days to go until it's 2018. So last episode of the Free Amigos podcast, we were talking about with Chuck what 2018 means to us. And as Jeff's got the gift of the gab today, what do you see Dash doing in 2018? Are you excited about it? How's it going to compare to 2017? Is 2018 going to be something different to you that you think the community doesn't understand yet? Do you have any secrets? Do you got any gossip from Core? Spill the beans. Tell us. We want to know.
Oh, man.
Okay, who wants to go first?
I mean,
let's Brian go first because Jeff's been talking for a little while.
Sorry, guys.
Rest his throat from yelling so loud.
I've just renamed the title, like Jeff featuring Dash Force.
2018 is going to make 2014 look like 2000. I don't know. Jeff.
Okay.
Mark?
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree, Brian. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Hang on,
so
how much? How much did you say, Brian?
I was just talking shit.
Oh, you're just talking. You didn't say a number. You didn't say like 10K or something like that.
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
So
10K is I think 2008. I think 10K, 10K.
it's feasible,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be just my general sentiment and predictions. Is first off, I think that if there's a chance that there could be a new #1 cryptocurrency in terms of market cap rankings and adoption at any point in the future, I think 2018 has a strong flippening chance that that'll happen next year. I also think that if cryptocurrency is going to go mainstream, which I think it absolutely will, I think that next year is when you'll start seeing it around a lot of places. Like I don't think it's going to be like everyone's using it next year. I think, even how fast this goes, that's probably not feasible. However, I do think it'll be something like the early days of like Android or Apple Pay, where you will be able to go to a bunch of places in your town and just use it to spend it. There will be a lot of big players using it. It won't just be like, oh, we got one top tier MMA fighter who's sponsored by one of these and take some of it in. It'll be like, maybe 10% or like a quarter of them or something will have something to do with that. So I think that's my gut feeling of where adoption will be by the end of next year. As far as Dash, well, you can't predict anything, but I really think that next year is the year that Dash really breaks into a higher league. Especially the things I'm really excited about are, if everything goes as planned, Alt 36 sounds absolutely amazing. It seems like the one key that everyone's been waiting for to just turn it and then Dash everywhere. Just the one solution that everyone can just use, kind of like the BitPay was in the early days of Bitcoin. I also think that evolution is going to be absolutely massive. And the thing of, everyone says this forever though, the thing is, I think that people are finally getting around to be ready to start considering options like this. Like for the longest time, I don't think anyone has been trying for something like evolution. I think that people are going to start trying. Other coins, other projects are going to start trying in the coming months now that they want this mass adoption. They need something that's usable by average people. I also think they're going to start and realize that Dash has been at this for years and years, has faced all kinds of problems with that, all kinds of restrictions and limitations and workarounds, and just because of just the massive infrastructure and the complexity required to make something so simple. I think that people are going to run into this and be like, wait, it looks like this is never going to work unless we have masternodes. Why don't we have masternodes again? I don't know why I don't have masternodes. That was your idea. Like, it's going to hit a moment where it's like people are going to realize that Dash has this massive incentivized network, a well-oiled machine, and can just do everything.
Can I tell you when they're going to realize that?
Yeah, when is that?
When they actually start to use all this stuff. And that's the funny part, is all these people are coming in They don't know what Bitcoin is yet. These people still don't know what this is. They're getting in here because they want a hope and a dream. And then they go to actually try to use it. And they realize that, oh, well, that's kind of inconvenient, or that's this, or that's that. And so for me, 2018 is the year where every other crypto breaks from being overloaded. And we keep humming along with a single fork or a single chain, an immutable ledger, and all that golden stuff that was supposed to be crypto. That to me is what's going to happen in 2018, is that when all these networks get overloaded and everybody has nothing left to do but try it, they're going to end up on Dash because it's just still working. And I have that much faith in the team, that much faith in the people behind the scenes putting all this stuff together. We've just hired a new head of infrastructure at Dash who's killing it. We've just hired a new biz dev. You know, we're bringing in guys from really, really large corporate environments, and they're crossing the corporate, you know, line, and they're coming to join us. And that's really exciting. You know, getting to work with some of the new members of my team in the DevOps has been amazing. Just a whole new level of professionalism. So, and shout out to Yvonne and to Sharif. What's up, guys?
Yeah, that is one thing that I didn't really mention, is December has been the month where I've been really blown away. I've been shocked. Like I'm usually the big picture thinking ahead and everything's going to be on the blockchain in like a couple years or whatever. And I was not prepared for the level of high up people in the other parts of the world that have just moved into crypto, right? From you get to Rory MacDonald, right? Just like I was thinking, oh, we'd be kind of trying to still sponsor a, you know, Davis Dos Santos or someone like that. I was thinking like, you know, we'd be trying to do this or that, or not like A-lister, and not like Bradley Zastro, the new business development guy. He's worked for Dash Core. He's been with American Express for like 17 years or something. This is a big player. We're getting a lot of big players, and a lot more will start surfacing all the time, who are just coming into Dash. I mean, the cryptocurrency ecosystem in general, but especially Dash, because Dash has a structure to actually hire and pay these people. It knows where it's going. We're going to see a lot. Like, this is something that I did not anticipate at all. And I thought it was going to happen like mid-late next year. You start to see the big talent and big names start to pay attention. But like, no, it already. I don't even know what to do. I mean, people have come to me looking for jobs who I kind of thought that I should be working for almost. Like, it's been so weird.
Yeah, Dash is going to be huge. Somebody mentioned BitPay. I know that they're opening up to other coins. Coinbase, I can't imagine we're not going to get on Coinbase. When we get on Coinbase, the price is going to explode. I mean, it's 2018 is going to be huge.
All 36.
But where's the coins for all these people to buy? That's what people don't realize, right? Is like there's no coins. Like I look all the time at the volume of coins on exchange. There's 5,000 coins on Bitfinex. There's 1,000 coins on Kraken. I mean, that's why it's going to be $10,000 or $100,000 Dash, because we're just so much more finite than Bitcoin. And like once the roof gets off and people are trying to buy 1,000 coins, like you're not even going to be able to find 1,000 coins.
Yeah, that's one reason why I really want to encourage as many proposals as have any kind of validity. I mean, obviously you don't want to vote in garbage, but anything that's anywhere good, fund it, because that's more Dash out there that people are going to then, you know, put on exchanges if they're trying to get rid of it, or they're going to pay other people. And then it just gets all circulated and decentralizes the ecosystem even more.
Troy and I spoke about this, and it was really weird because we went back and forth, and he's saying, no, they're just going to go into more masternodes. And I'm like, no, more proposal funds coming into the ecosystem are not going to end up in masternodes. I don't think.
Yeah, well, there's even if they do end up in.
Yeah, just real quick, there's a site that I check on this same thing. Nubium. I've posted it before. I've talked about it before. I've been watching it for a long, long time. And to Jeff's point, normally within, the last couple of weeks, there's always been like 30, 35 Dash available. This Nubium checks to all like a bunch of different websites. I think it's like 8 different exchanges and tells you how much Dash is available, how much Bitcoin is chasing it. And up until the last Yeah, up until the last couple of weeks, it's always been 30, 35 Dash. Before that, it was even 40, 45. Now it's 17,000 Dash. That's all that's available. The last couple of weeks has just gone down, and the Bitcoin has gone, there's more Bitcoin chasing Dash than there is Dash. So yeah, the price is, man, it's when it takes off, it's really gonna take off.
Yeah, we need another like mine. Can we get another like 10 million Instamine like within the next few months?
We haven't even spoke about SegWit 2x yet. They're going to do a pre-mine for 6 million coins pre-mine, and they're going to use the X11 algorithm. Hey, that sounds really familiar. Like X11 algorithm. Who created that again?
Is this that Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Flash? Is that what we're?
So this and what else was they going to do? Basically, they're just trying to be like even on their own Reddit page. How
many forks are we at now?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I thought a fork only had 4 prongs, though. So, are they going to need a new word for it? Like, maybe they shouldn't use fork anymore. Like, at some point, they might want to call it like.
Hard forks have become the ICOs of Bitcoin, and it's actually damaging the cryptocurrency community in the mainstream because it cheapens the effect. It's basically central banking all over again. They're just increasing the supply by creating more coins out of thin air. So, even though we can't use Bitcoin or anything, let's hold it so we can keep creating more.
Did y'all see the Bitcoin Flash? Y'all know what I'm talking about? The Bitcoin Flash. Did y'all see that posted in chat?
Like the flash crash?
No, there's a Bitcoin Flash, which is it's X11, it's master nodes, it's a new Bitcoin fork.
There's Bitcoin God, there's Bitcoin Diamond now, there's Bitcoin Cash Plus coming out. It's a goddamn joke. It's a joke. Wake up. It's damaging the credibility. It's a bad thing. This 2017 was about crappy ICOs, right? Hate ICOs, right? 2018, if the hard forks keep coming like this,
I think they're done. I think people are tired of them. Speaking of which, getting people tired of stuff, we need to wrap up here pretty soon.
Yes. So think about so basically, I think people really forget just how new of a system this all is, really. I mean, it's moving so fast. And sometimes I get impatient that everyone involved isn't catching up as fast as the thing is growing. But, I need to learn patience. This thing is so new. All you have to do is look at CoinMarketCap and just look at the top 20 or so coins, do some 5-minute research into them, see how and then just realize, this is nonsense. What is this? What are these valuations? Who uses this? It's not a criticism against any project in particular. It's not even a criticism against investors, really. Just everyone doesn't know how this is going to turn out. It's really new. And we're going to start seeing things professionalize and sharpen up and tighten up in time. And just enjoy the Wild West while it's at, because this is we could be sitting at the top of some world empire within just a couple of years. This could be the technology that runs the planet, and we could be some of the people that were in there when it was easy to get in there, before it became hard to have influence. So enjoy it while it lasts and hold on tight. You got a big responsibility on your shoulders.
Yeah, there's so much we could talk about. We missed so much, but there's only so much time. There's an after party if anybody wants to.
Yes. Now, if you're in Discord, the Dash Nation Discord, just start asking around, hey, where's the after party, guys? If you're not in Dash Nation Discord, it's a really great place. There's a lot of discussion about it. dashchat.org. Jump in there, and the party never stops.
Sweet. The road goes on forever.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Wrap up time, boys. So we've gone way over time today. Thanks, Jeff. Story time.
Sounds like you're blaming.
No, please don't. Anyway. It's the end of 2017. This has been episode 32. We've had an amazing special podcast today with Rory MacDonald joining us. What a fantastic surprise. We hope you enjoyed it as well. So much exciting stuff to look forward to. As Joel's just said, come join us. After the party's going to get started. Dashchat.org if you're not in Discord. Let's get the party started. And yeah, we will see you next Friday. Same Dash time, same Dash channel. And don't forget, stay dashy. Have a good New Year's. Catch you
Have a
later.
good one,
Bye.
guys.